Namaste, welcome. So, today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic on Sri Aurobindo's and Mother's writing on the divine. A topic on the divine. So, as Sri Aurobindo specially will take up some of the points, some of the messages from Sri Aurobindo's writing today on divine. Sri Aurobindo wants to say us, divine only is our aspect. Divine only is our object, nothing else. Only divine, only divine, only divine. Our object is only the divine. For a spiritual seeker, the only object, the only aim for a spiritual seeker is the divine, nothing else. Again, he speaks. For those who wish to lead a spiritual life, the divine must always come first. Everything else must be secondary. So naturally, people who are riding the spiritual path, who are leading the spiritual life, divine is a must for him. It is the first necessity and first expectation, first object, first goal is divine. Everything else comes second. All are secondary. The divine can lead, he does not drive. So, divine, the power of the divine, the quality of the divine is to lead, he can lead only, not that he does not drive. Then second aspect comes before us. Second thing comes up before us while discussing divine and human. The divine has to veil himself in order to meet the human. He has to veil himself in order to meet the human, because many forms of the divine, they have come in different forms and different names throughout the ages, in different ages also. They have come something like Durga or some Kali or in avatars, because they have come and people have not come to their front. They have not actually, they have hidden their possibilities. They are hidden their divinity to meet the human being and to come in contact with them and to lead them towards the divine, in the evolutionary process, towards the destined goal from which they have been separated in the process of involution. To the materialist, he disguises himself in matter. So this is the characteristic of divine. Divine does in this way. To the materialist, he disguises himself in matter. On the other hand, for the nihilist, he wastes ambushed in the bosom of annihilation. So there are two types of manifestation for the divine. He hides himself. For the materialist, he disguises himself in matter. And for the nihilist, he waits ambushed in the bosom of annihilation, because he has to come out of it and he has to manifest. Next, we know the divine and become the divine because we are that already in our secret nature. Somebody say, what is your identity? We can see our father's name is such and such, my name is such and such, I am working in such somewhere else. But actually our true definition is that we are the sons of God and must be even as he. His human person, we must grow divine. Naturally, we have born the parts, his human parts of the divine. Here, Sri Aurobindo tried to analyze the thing. We know the divine and become the divine. We know the divine and we will become the divine because we are that already in our secret nature. We have got two types of nature. The one is actually, it is actually coming in the front. This is not actually, it is revealed. It is in the front, in the fore. So, another nature is our secret nature. We are in the secret nature, we are already in the divine and we become the divine. But in outwardly, we are a human being, we are having some lacuna, we are having shortcomings, we are a human being, like this it is going on. If the divine were not in you, you would never know the divine. Because you see, one seed is there under the ground. So whenever it is acclimatized, it is getting the proper condition, then naturally it is coming out and blossoming like a tree, herb, a shrub, anything else. If that seed is not there inside, so naturally there is no chance of coming this tree growing up trees or bearing the fruit or flowers. So naturally, if the divine were not in you, this seed of the divine sleeps in the human breast. If it is not there, you would never know the divine and you could not have tried to become the divine eventually. Then comes actually what is the divine life. A divine life must be first and foremost an inner life. Two types of life we are leading. One is inner life, another is outer life. We are feeling satisfied, we are remaining satisfied, we are remaining bound in our external life only. There is another life, that is actually inner life, which is considered to be spiritual life. So this divine life must be first and foremost an inner life. So we have to go deep within, we have to follow the inner life, we have to come in contact with the psychic being naturally. So this is the divine life, and this is the beginning of the through spiritualism it goes there. The ascent to the divine life is the human journey. What is human journey? What is our journey? We can say we are traveling from here, Bhubaneswar to Mumbai, Bhubaneswar to Pondicherry, something that is our human journey. But Sri Aurobindo tries to emphatically, Sri Aurobindo tries to explain us the ascent to the divine life. The ascent to the divine life, not ordinary life, not religious life, not moral life. It is ascent to the divine life is the human journey. Human journey, not the horizontal journey somewhere to reach somewhere in Germany, somewhere in Bhubaneswar, somewhere in Mumbai, somewhere in New Delhi, anywhere else. But actually, ascent to the divine life is the human journey. The work of works. We are doing something a little work, but actually this journey to the divine life is the work of works, the acceptable sacrifice, the sacrifice that is acceptable. Means we ascend to the divine life. Actually, it is the first and foremost object before us. The divine life will reject nothing. It will not reject anything, it takes everything, it tries to transform, it tries to metamorphosize, it was to change it. Divine life will reject nothing that is capable of divinization, but all is seized, exalted, and utterly perfect, made utterly perfect. So naturally, divine life will reject nothing that is capable of divinization. The thing that is capable of divinization, it will be never rejected in divine life. So what it has to be done? It has to be seized, exalted, and next made utterly perfect. This is the object, this is the work of the divine life. Divine life does that way, works that way. Then the divine life must always be accentuated by the push towards the perfection. Imperfection, divine life is actually, it is totally forbidden. So divine life needs perfection. Divine life for that only must be actuated by the push towards the perfection. It is being pushed forward towards perfection. Nothing short of a perfect perfection satisfies the divine mother. So this divine life is to be pushed forward towards perfection. After this one means defining divine and human, then divine life. Next step we are coming towards the divine light. There is a divine light that leans towards the world, leans over the world. Here every day we can see the sun is actually leaning and covering the world. But actually, truly speaking, this divine light that is actually leaning over the world. This is the entire world that is covered. There is no night, no day, no obscurity, nothing is there. Only everything is illumination and perfection. That divine light leans on the world. Be always ready to receive the divine, for he may visit you at any moment. Another point, very interesting point, very important point, Sri Aurobindo tries to make us cautious, and Sri Aurobindo tries to explain us. Be ready always to receive the divine, because he may visit you at any moment. Anything that is a chance, he is coming and he will reach you, so be ready to receive the divine. Next one, for the divine to withdraw from the human beings, this is next to impossibility. He has come here, he is inside us, he is very near to us, he is surrounding us, he is guiding us, he is actually leading us. So to withdraw, it is next to impossibility. He will never withdraw. He has got his point, he has got his ambition, he has got his destiny to make the human in the evolutionary journey, to lead the human being in the evolutionary journey towards the goal from where we have been detached. Next one is divine love. We know So many things we have till now decided. We have actually defined. Now the divine Lord. While we are defining and we are speaking of the divine love, Sri Aurobindo speaks of, one must be divine oneself before one can bear the pressure of divine love. The pressure of the divine love is actually, it is very vast, very grand, it is very much pinching. To bear the pressure of the divine love, one has to become the divine. One can bear the pressure of the divine love only by becoming, divining oneself. Like this Ganga fell down, Shiva was there, only person to bear the pressure of this Ganges, this Ganga water. So like this supramental force descended, and Sri Aurobindo took everything into his heart, so that there was no destruction. Sri Aurobindo speaks here, one must be divine oneself before one can bear the pressure of divine love. That is so much heavy, bear so big pressure, so vast pressure. To bear that pressure, only way is to divine oneself. Then actually another one term comes, divine master. The master of work does not reveal himself at once to the seeker. He has to hide himself, because man is not that much potent nor able to see himself and to accept his identity, accept his presence also. The divine can be divine even as the master of does not punish anybody, does not threaten, does not force obedience. Actually, he is giving so much perfection, so much freedom, so that man can be able to know himself, to be guided by himself, to actually accept himself. Divine can even as the matter does not punish anybody, does not threaten, does not force his obedience. Another one is divine will. What is the divine will? When the mind is pure, how can we know that is divine will or any human will? When the mind is pure and psychic is prominent, when there is 100% purity in mind and proficiency in the psychic being, then one can be understand to know what is according to divine will and what is against it. If that mind is not pure or psychic prominence is not there, you can be able to know what is divine will and what is the another will or any titanic will. Divine working. Our limitation and distortions are the contribution to the working. The true power in it is the divines. Our error, anything we do, our shortcomings, our lacuna, everything is distortion, because through that error and the obscurity, divine works himself. The divine working uses error in order to arrive at the truth. So he uses error to arrive at the truth, suffering in order to arrive at the bliss, imperfection in order to reach at the perfection. For these or negations, this divine is using to reach all their positives or their absolute opposite signs. Divinization. A descent of the divinization can alone divinize the human receptacles. Descent of the divinize can only divinize, nothing else. Divinization of the nature is a metamorphosis, a change from falsehood of our ignorant nature into the truth of the God nature. So divinization, it is actually a metamorphosis. Divinization, only those who live in the supreme truth consciousness and embody it inwardly, made or else remade the divine image. Naturally, we have to live in the supreme truth consciousness to know the divine. Thank you. Vande Mataram.